A science graduate who's been painting since the age of 4. The typographer who designed a font for the father of the nation. The builder of many iconic brands. And the national creative director at India's top agencies. Join us in conversation with KV Sridhar at Design Dialogue.
I've always been influenced by Gandhi. It's my grandparents' legacy. So one day around 2009, there was an article in newspapers saying that Gandhi's glasses are going on an auction, and it was going for $1 million. And Indian government did not have money. So I refuse to believe that as a nation, we call him as father of the nation, and we don't have 6 crores to bring the vision. The man owned nothing. He had specs, he had one lathi, he had one watch, and then he has chappal. Apart from that, he has absolutely nothing. And if a simple man who owns 5 things, you can't keep that one thing with you. So I felt really bad. I just remembered his quote, and it made me feel one thing which Gandhi always said, that you can have my bones, but you cannot have my obedience. You may have my glasses, but you will never have my vision. Correct. That resonated with me, and I said, what stupidity. Somehow, if I have to do anything, it's not the bringing of the physical glasses to this country, but to make those glasses live and his vision live forever in this digital space. So I thought, suddenly, because everything triggered by glasses, then I thought, maybe I should use the glasses and then do something. And suddenly it struck me that if you take different parts of the glasses, you can make a font. A digital font, a true type font, can live on in the digital space forever. Just get integrated, and people can use it, and in that way I can keep Gandhi and his vision alive for many more years, because there is no font commemorating him. So that's what was the mission that really so I scribbled come up some of those fonts, and then I called my designing team. I said that we are developing this font, and it took us almost a year and a half to really develop the font. So once we developed the font in English, then we embarked upon doing it in 2 other languages, Hindi and Tamil. So these were the first 3 languages which we did, and then we went on to create that in 12 languages, including Urdu. It was a nightmare, because each language, as it is, we don't have language fonts, and 600 characters which you need to create for certain languages. It was quite a Herculean task. It took us almost 2 years to complete the project. In 2011, all the 12 languages were available for download. There are close to 1 million downloads which have happened. People started using. Even today also I get requests from Penguin Books or some filmmaker in France or somebody else, can we use your font to do the titles of a film or book or whatever. So that to me is the most satisfactory thing, to really create a font and then make that live for much longer. This was in 2002. I really love this campaign because the client has exhausted all his money in creating ads where a factory is being launched. So once I went to them and then said that you're wasting all your money on your factory opening and all, which is of no consequence to anyone. So they said, what can you do? We have only few budget, very few crores left. Then I said, I don't need much money. You give me whatever little money which you have. And one of the greatest challenges always is to create a brand from nothing. Correct. The difference between a product and a brand is huge. Products are made in the factories and brands are made in the hearts and minds of people. So how can you make an industrial product called glass? Nobody really cares about it, which brand of glass, as long as there is glass. How do you make people really love a glass brand? It was quite a task, it is. People thought Saint-Gobain is Sant-Gobain, a Ludhiana company. So it was important for us to make it look like a international commercial. But we didn't have money to go and then shoot in France or some other place. So we had to do it in Mumbai. I believe that you need to take the very generic benefits and really own those benefits. So clear glass was one of that benefit which I took, and then created this campaign, this beautiful story about the two Chinese guys sitting and then having a soup in a restaurant, and then suddenly you see one huge African woman walking towards them and then throwing a bucket full of water, and the guys also feel as if they're going to be drowned, and then they duck. Even audience also feel that water is going to hit them. That's when they realize that there is a glass and she's a glass cleaner, and then starts cleaning already a clear glass. I like the sense of humor that actually launched the brand in India and made glass from being a commodity to a branded one. So the difference between a product and a brand is brands command premium, both emotionally and also financially. People pay more money because you like the brand. So it became very profitable, and within 3 months or 4 months of launching this campaign, it became a visiting card for them. Wherever they go, you've seen that commercial, yeah, we are that company. It was quite a challenge for me to really work on that and then create an identity for a airline, because never it's been done in India. Air India Maharaja was the only benchmark. So how do you launch a modern airline? One of the biggest challenges was the fear. Now people laugh when you really talk about the fear of boarding a flight when you don't know the brand or the company which is flying. If you don't know the airline, you don't want to board it. That's the reason why the crest and then the state colors and all that, which gives reassurance. Air India is government owned, that and then private airlines were iffy thing those days. So a lot of learnings one had to do, and unlearning one had to do to really create a logo and identity for a private one. And the owner of Jet Airways, Naresh Goyal, he gave me a challenge saying that Pops, 10 years from now we will be flying across the world. Just imagine seeing your logo and then the tail at Heathrow, at JF Kennedy, at the best airports in the world, and now you designed me something which can fit in there. So that was quite a challenge. That time again I had lots of sleepless nights because of the pressure of designing the first ever private airline in the country. And how do you create that logo? Logo means everything to an airline. There were close to 3,000 touch points which consumers come in contact with an airline identity. So how do you create a unified identity? The choice of colors, the modernity, rising sun on a flight is what the logo is all about. It's a sun, it's a flying sun, correct? So how do you create all the speed elements and then put that into a modern form, which is not symmetrical? This is the first airline those days, symbol which is asymmetrical. It's not symmetric. even I didn't know much about, I went with my gut feel, saying that I want to create something new. I want the speed to be there, I want the sun to be there, I want the night to be there, I want the professionalism of blue, I want the prosperity of yellow, correct, I want the vitality of yellow, all the symbolisms which go along with that. But the biggest nightmare, most difficult choice I had to make probably in my life as a designer, was what to do on the other side of the tail when you have a asymmetrical logo. You can't have the speed lines going inside, you have to make them outside. So I mirrored the image on the, so it is virtually against any rule book of using a asymmetrical logo, mirrored version on the other side of the tail. And nobody really knew what I was doing. So they asked me, have you done all the things, going for printing? I said, all the things, and then showed them both the sides. And people never realized I didn't want to broach the subject also. So it is one of the toughest call which I have ever made. But apart from creating all that, the most challenging thing is when you want to do something new, when you embark on something which is unknown. It would have been very easy for me to really go with what is happening traditionally and then create a symmetrical logo which has some Indian bird, something, and put that in a graphic format, which can be reproduced any which way. But I took the toughest call that it is going to be an issue, and each time you face the issue you have to actually solve the problem, and you don't know whether the problem you are solving is really you are solving it or creating another problem. So this mirroring logo was one of those, my heart was in my mouth till it landed, got accepted, and then people really today they notice it, but they never see any kind of disruption in the identity, which is one of the biggest triumphs as a designer, to have taken that call and then see it still being continued here. There are some people who adopt change, some people who resist, and history has never seen the people who resisted really fly. It's only people who embrace change have been between here. But if you are changing every day, you never see the need to make a disruptive change, because you are evolving every day. And if you resist change every day in your thoughts and in your deeds, there comes a point and then you are left behind, and then you have to take a disruptive step to catch up. Today, if I were to be a 18-year-old boy coming out of a high school, and then I have to make a choice, I would make advertising as a choice. And which company and what kind of advertising I will do, exactly technology and creativity. I would join a company. What I have done 18 months back, joining a technology and creative company, I would have done exactly what I had done 18 months back if I were to be 18. Because you have to be with the time. You cannot be irrelevant, and at the same time, it is the new things which keeps you alive. And when you are adopting something new, you are very, very insecure. That insecurity and vulnerability is what keeps you going. If you don't have that, you are dead.